We want to talk about how do rivers interact with humans, and then how do humans interact with rivers. So the first one is going to be what kind of hazards do rivers pose? So they cause flooding, and that flooding can uproot trees and damage property. It can inundate basements with water. It can, when the flooding goes away, it can leave sediment behind. It could also pollute the groundwater. Another thing a river can do is it can cause erosion, which can undermine roads and houses. So this would make for an excellent essay question on the exam. Name two different ways that a river can cause damage, for example. Okay, then what do we do about it? So how do we mitigate these hazards? So the first one is to be able to predict when the flooding is going to occur. So I've got two graphs here, which if I was doing a test on this, I might give you one of those graphs and ask you to interpret information that's on it. So the first graph there is a picture of the discharge going up and down, and then going sideways is time. So for a particular river, this shows you during various months and different years what was the amount of water that was flowing in the river. And you can see that sometimes it's very high, and then other times it's very low. So when it's very low, that could be a drought, or it could be maybe during the winter time when there's not much rain that's giving water to the river. Okay, then the other chart there, so the one that's right next to it, is going to have what is the percent chance that a particular discharge is going to occur. So again, going here, going up and down, again, is going to be the discharge, but it's going to be the peak discharge. So what is the maximum amount of water that could theoretically be flowing in that river? And then what's the chance that it's going to do that? So notice that if the peak discharge is really, really high, the percent is very, very low. So it starts out with like 90, there's a 99% chance over here that the discharge is going to be very low in that river. Okay, but maybe there's only a 1% chance that the discharge is going to be very, very high over here. And then you can see that the other ones fall in a straight line on there. So I could give you those charts on an exam, and I could give you the year, for example, and I could say what was the discharge for that particular river. And then you would just go up and find what dot, and then go over here and then just read off the number there. Or I could give you the second graph, and I could say what is the chances of having a certain peak discharge. And so you would look up that peak discharge over here, bounce it off the curve, and then find the percentage. So that's something you should be able to do. Okay, another way that geologists mitigate flood risk is by having maps that show areas that are likely to be flooded. And then by having appropriate building codes, meaning don't build your house on this particular floodplain because it's going to flood. Don't put your trailer here because it's going to flood. Okay, some other things is building man-made levees. So we talked about natural levees that a river can make, but humans can make man-made ones that are made out of concrete. And so that can help protect against flooding. Another thing would be to restore wetlands along the sides of the river to help absorb some of that water. And then also you can see erosion control having walls that help to keep a river in its channel and to keep it from eroding. Okay, so now let's go to this. How do humans impact rivers? Well, first, humans can pollute rivers. Humans can build dams, which interfere with the natural curvature of the river. Humans can also change the course of a river. So a river may originally be doing this. So it might be meandering. And so humans come along and they straighten it out like that. Well, that has repercussions if you do that. Overuse of water in a river, and then by building parking lots and concrete structures that covers up the ground so that water cannot get into the ground, so it has to flow on top of the ground, and so that can cause erosion and flooding. Alright, so that concludes our discussion of rivers. So stay tuned, because our next topic, over here, excuse me, our next topic is going to be on coastlines. I'll see you in just a moment.